Hi guys, Josh Lloyd here. You may remember me from such shows as the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast, and I'm also the lead analyst at basketballmonster.com. I'm here to give you the first look at Tuesday's NBA slate on DraftKings. But before I do that, hit subscribe. It's down below. Hit the little bell as well. You get the notifications. Let's get in. There's 10 games on Tuesday in the NBA. The first one of those games we take a look at is the Boston Celtics. It is the Indiana Pacers. Victor Oladipo missed the last game between these two that the Pacers ended up winning. The Celtics come in favored by 1 here, which is interesting given that Oladipo is going to be back. I'm interested in the Rock DJ, Robbie Williams. 3,900 for Williams, who outplayed both Daniel Tice and Tristan Thompson last game. The Celtics rave about this guy. He has issues for sure, but as an upside GPP guy at $4,000, I like it a lot. I also, it's hard to go past Domantas Sabonis at 8,600, who realistically just tore the Celtics apart last game. He played 40 minutes. He had 42 points. Look, he looked really good, and at that price, he looks relatively solid. I also think Malcolm Brogdon at 72 is good, and a guy we haven't really seen fully explode yet is Jason Tatum, who has struggled to get to the rim. He has struggled with his shot selection. He's at 8,800. I'm not, fully invested in Jason Tatum at that price, but I also don't think it's a terrible one. While Miles Turner's all the way down at 6,000, curiously enough, he's averaging 33 a night, which at 6,000 is not bad value, and he's getting blocks in bunches. He's just not playing a ton of minutes, so I guess that limits his upside to a degree, which is unfortunate. The second game that we're going to look at is the Golden State Warriors. They take on the Detroit Pistons, who are on a back-to-back. The Pistons, they pushed the Hawks for a little bit on Monday, but ended up going down there. Now, in this one, the Pistons are going to almost definitely welcome back Blake Griffin. They're also going to welcome back Derrick Rose. So that's going to take a lot of the value that we saw from the Pistons away. The Warriors are 3.5-point favorites here. I still like Mason Plumlee at 5,700. We don't know if Jahlil Okafor is going to play. He missed Monday's game. He's also not very good. But Plumlee's at 5,700. He feels like he's getting you 30 almost every night, which is really good value. And then Blake Griffin comes in at 6,900, which, for a guy that is getting pretty good numbers, I think he's averaging 38 so far this season. It's not bad, and the Warriors' defense has not been good. Now, someone that everyone's hating on, rightfully so, is Kelly Oubre Jr. 5,700 for Oubre, is averaging just 20 fantasy points, but he's shooting, 8%, I think, from the field. He hasn't hit a shot outside of a dunk all season. That is going to course correct. He is going to have a 30-pointer at any point coming up soon, and this is as good an opportunity as any to utilize him. Josh Jackson's at 4,500. I think he'll be pretty popular because of how he did on Monday, but with Rose and Griffin back, he probably doesn't have that same level of opportunity. While James Wiseman struggled against the Bulls, just 15 points in 23 minutes because it was a close game. And remember, he did all his damage in garbage time in those first two games. So with both these teams being pretty terrible, I'm not sure how much garbage time there's actually going to be in this one. Delon Wright's at 4,800. It's hard to get too excited with him, with Rose and Griffin returning, and I don't want anything to do with Killian Hayes. While Steph Curry at 9,600 looks all right. 9,600. I think there are probably some better options out there, but it's definitely not a disaster. Not a disaster play. The Raptors and the Sixers, that is the third game for us to take a look at. There's no spread currently out for this one at the moment. I guess they're waiting to see if Joel Embiid is going to play. Joel Embiid is going to play, I'm telling you now. He sat out with back tightness last game. It was a back-to-back. He will be fine. So I'm not really worried about him suiting up and playing in this one. The Raptors have been a little bit poor to start the year, and they've been playing everyone some really, really big minutes. OG Anunoby has been underwhelming, I guess. He's at 5,200. I don't think there's much in terms of upside with OG. He's averaging 28 points, which at 5,200 is fine, but can he get bigger than that? He probably can. I'm just not super into it. Embiid's at 9,800. Look, in the past, Marc Gasol has really, really owned Joel Embiid. He doesn't have to deal with Marc Gasol now. Aaron Baines is there. Chris Boucher is there. They're not the same defensive player that Marc Gasol is. So I think Embiid's a chance to at least get to 50 here. And in the past, you just never use him against Toronto. I think that ends now. Toby Harris at $7,000 was pretty good last game. 41 points for him. It's the most uninspiring play that you can go for, though, which in cash isn't bad. But I wouldn't say that it's the best one there. And Norm Powell at 4,400. He just doesn't look right. I would only want to do him as a differentiator in a GPP. If the shots start falling, his minutes will go back up, but I'm not excited about him. I'm not excited about Simmons. Chris Boucher's salary has come up because of how he played last game. He's now at 5,800. Remember, Boucher in that last game had 53 fantasy points. He's still absolutely a guy to look at 5,300, but that level there is just an unlikely scenario to see him get to that price. I just don't see it coming. Next game we take a look at here. It is the Chicago Bulls. It is the Washington Wizards. Both these teams have yet to win a game because they are both terrible. The Wizards will welcome back Russell Westbrook. Lauri Markkanen is questionable for the Bulls, but they'll also likely welcome back Thad Young in this game. No Rui Hachimura still for Washington. I like Now, actually, I was going to say I like Bertans. I don't really like Bertans. We don't know if he's going to have any minutes limit yet, so scratch that. I don't like Bertans in this one. I do like Kobe White at 6,500. It's a relatively good matchup for him. And Tom Bryant at 6,800. The Bulls really, they struggle to stop anybody. So I'm not totally certain that he is going to be able to do a huge amount here. Look at some other options in this one. Wendell Carter was great against the Warriors, 6,100. Russell Westbrook at 97. I've got to talk about that one because, who is Kobe White slowing him down? No, he's got no chance of doing that. Westbrook's had some triple-doubles already this season. He's averaging 58 points. Under 10,000, he is a really strong play. Wendell Carter at 61 looks all right, especially with how he played against the Warriors. But prior to that, he had struggled. He had 45 against the Warriors, so he can do it. There is upside, and Thomas Bryant is a terrible defensive player, so that works in his favor. And I think we could say a similar thing for Zach LaVine going up against Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. There are definitely some openings there. Yes, definitely some openings there for him to put up some numbers. Wouldn't say it's the best play that's there on the board, but it's definitely something that's available to us. Denny Avdia at 46 is all right, but it's far from spectacular. The next game we look at is the Cavs. It is the New York Knicks. Both of these teams surprise winners last time around. The Cavs are 3.5-point favorites. The total is a pretty low 217. There's no Obi Toppin. There's no Emmanuel Quickley. Alec Burks is now cropped up on the injury report as questionable. While for the Cavs, the Kevins are out. Kevin Porter and Kevin Love, while Isaac Okoro is also sidelined. So there is value here. And one of the big values is Darius Garland. He's at 5,900. He's playing super well. He's averaging 41 points already this season. I love that for him. I love Andre Drummond at 8,700 as well. He is just feasting at the moment, as is Julius Randle at 8,200. Randle is basically playing like a point guard for this team, so there's value in all of those guys. And Colin Sexton at 6,900 is scoring. He's scoring efficiently. I don't like him probably as much as those other three, but he's averaging 38 points this year. He just struggles to do anything outside of scoring, which to me limits his upside. With Smith out, with Quickley out, with Burks questionable, Alfred Payton at 5,500 had been dreadful to start the season, but put up some really good numbers last time out against the Bucks. He had 43 DraftKings points in that one, and I think he's worth having a look at that salary. Now, the salary has jumped up a little bit for Payton, up to 5,500, but it's not a disaster. I'd probably fade off of Burks, and RJ Barrett at 7,100 is all right for cash, but I'm not really certain. I'm not really certain that it is that it's the greatest GPP play. I'm not sure the upside is necessarily there for that one. All right, on to the next game, which is, if I can bring that up, whatever the next game is, it is the Milwaukee Bucks. It is the Miami Heat of NBA playoffs matchup, rematch from last year. Of course, these teams haven't started out that well this year. The Bucks are 5-point favorites. The total is 222.5, and Jimmy Butler is listed as doubtful. That means I'm going to be loving Bam Adebayo. More usage, more assist opportunities. He's at $8,000 here, Bam, which looks pretty darn good to me for a guy who put up some nice numbers. I also think we want to look at someone like the guy, that name I can't think of, Goran Dragic, who's going to play a muted role off the bench, but still, when he gets on the court, he is going to have opportunities. A guy that I don't like, but is in a spot to put up numbers, is Kendrick Nunn. Now, he's barely played this year, but I think they could start him with Butler out. Come in, get some shots up, play alongside Tyler Hero. There is some value in the GPP for Nunn, and I think the guy that I just mentioned, Hero at 5,700, hasn't really found his footing yet, but he could be a 30, 35-pointer. But his floor is really low, Hero, and that takes him away from me. And if I want to go for a more secure player, Dragic at 5,800 is averaging 39. It's a really good option with Jimmy Butler out. 10,800 for Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's it's a pretty good play to me as an expensive guy on this slate, so I do really like that one. The next game up is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it is the Orlando Magic. We saw the Thunder play on Monday with a narrow loss to the Jazz. They're going to back it up here in the back-to-back against the Magic. So which guys are we looking at? Who do we like here? Darius Baisley wasn't at his best in that game, but at 5,800, I'm still in on him, and I do like Al Horford at 5,900, although there is a risk, I guess, of them arresting him. Now, if they do, Isaiah Roby is a very, very sneaky guy to have a look at because he puts up numbers when he's out there. Mike Muscala is going to be the option that everyone goes to, but I wouldn't go too far past someone like Isaiah Roby. I love Shea at 8,100. He is going to be a really highly rostered player at that salary. And Markelle Fultz is putting up some big, big numbers. Fultz is at 6,100. He's been rock solid. He's averaging over 30 so far this year. That's really strong to me. While Aaron Gordon, the minutes restriction probably still in place for Gordo. And that's not one that I want to get myself super invested in at this point. I think we can probably do just a little bit better. Hopefully, we can do a little bit better than that at this stage. Who else have we got to have a look at in this game? I think they're probably the major ones. Oh, Lou Dort, actually. Lou Dort at 4,600. Absolutely amazing stuff from him against the Jazz. Will he continue to do that? Almost assuredly not. He had 36 DraftKings points in that game, but he shot like 82% from the field, and that's just not going to be able to keep up from Lou Dort. Didn't even flick the little thing over there, which I should have. The next game we take a look at is the Pelicans. It is they are going up against the Phoenix Suns. The Pels underdogs, 3-point underdogs. The Suns 3-point favorites. The total 222. Dario Saric has been upgraded to probable for Phoenix. Chris Paul is down at 7,100. I don't hate that one. He has not been at his best so far this year, Paul, but he's still averaging 36 DraftKings points, which is not bad. I wouldn't be loading up on it. I think Eric Bledsoe is a nice punt option that people will be definitely sour on, and that gives you some advantage there. While Zion Williamson, he got the steals going last game, 5 of them in fact. He's averaging 44 points and he's at 8,100. He could very easily be a 50-point guy. I like it, especially against this Phoenix team. I'm not sure how Jay Crowder is going to go, trying to limit him. I'm a little bit down on Brandon Ingram because he has to take on literally one of the best 5 defensive players in the NBA, and that is McCall Bridges, who just shuts blokes down consistently. Bridges has also been bringing it offensively, but I don't like that his salary is up at 6,200. It's probably a little bit high for me, but his impact on Ingram is going to be super important, and I don't want to get too much Ingram into lineups for that very reason. We've got 2 more games to look at now. The Minnesota Timberwolves and the LA Clippers. We know that Karl Anthony Towns, he is out for the Wolves. Josh Okogie is also doubtful with what they called cramping initially, but what they're now calling a hamstring strain. Kawhi Leonard is questionable with that mouth issue. Now, this is the first of a back-to-back for the Clippers. I imagine that Kawhi sits, and we already know that Marcus Morris has been ruled out of this one. Batum's at 4,500, really struggled against the Mavs, but I think he's an interesting bounce-back guy here. While with Okogie out, how much do they use Anthony Edwards? He's at 5,400. He's getting absolute sky-high usage at the moment. I think he's worth looking at, as is Naz Reid, who is not afraid to take shots himself. He's at 5,100. 27 in that game against the Lakers, which at 5,100 is fine, and he could actually do that pretty easily. And then the other guy I think we want to look at is Jarrett Culver. I expect Culver to start in place of Okogie. He's averaging 22 already. No reason he can't be close to a 30-point guy here in this one. And D'Angelo Russell has been poor. Do I want to invest 7,600 in him? Probably not. I think I can find better options around than him at this point. Now, I am recording this in the middle of the Nuggets game against the Kings. And at the time of me recording this, I'm just going to check the news now. Jamal Murray has gone off to the bench. Or off to the locker room after getting smashed in the head. And I would say there is a real chance that Murray does not play in this game, meaning Monty Morris and Facu Campazzo are going to get an increased role, because it's unlikely you can get evaluated for a concussion and then be ready to go the next day, which is what the scenario would be for Jamal Murray. So I think that he looks to be someone who is out in this one on the back-to-back. Now, Bagley's at 5,400. I don't mind that one. I don't mind De'Aaron Fox at 76, who needs a real bounce-back game. Buddy Hield at 6,800 is too high in my mind. In fact, I'm not sure there's a huge amount of value here. Nikola Jokic at 10,200. He's just a guy that's putting up numbers pretty much every day. And so he's averaging 63 before today's game, and he's on a roll already in that one. I really do like him as an option. And then we go to Monty Morris at 4,000. He would be the guy to look at if If Jamal is out, he can easily get you 25 to 30 points. That would be the direction that I would go in that sort of scenario that Murray does not play. That'll do it for our first look at the DraftKings slate for Tuesday. Leave comments down below. Give it a thumbs up. Share it with people. Subscribe, notifications, all of that stuff, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.